Tommy Robinson, the former leader of the English Defence League, whose real name happens to be Stephen Yaxley Lennon, and his nemesis, Andam Chowdhury, a co-founder of the banned group Al-Muhajirun, 5.5 years in jail for urging support of ISIS.
I think Gavin Suker, I bumped into him in Chicken George, and I read up that at the House of Commons he held a Celebrate the Prophet Muhammad Day. Yeah? He organised it. So when I said, listen, Gavin, it's the first time I've seen you in 6 years, after everything that's gone on, everything you've stood on the TV and said about me, can we just have a word outside the chicken shop? I think I wasn't being aggressive or anything towards him. I said, just a quick chat. So I said to him then, tell me what you know about the Prophet Muhammad. And he just looked at me blank. I goes, well, I know Muslims. And he said, well, I go, come on, mate. You held to Celebrate the Prophet Muhammad Day. What do you know about him? He said, well, I know Muslims respect him. I was just like, oh, come on, mate. What do you know about his life? What is it you wanted to celebrate about his life that you know? Just look blank. And for me, as a non-Muslim, he's a non-Muslim. I said, that is pathetic. You're holding a day to celebrate who someone from a non-Muslim perspective, I see as an immoral man. Yeah? I'm not going to sit here and slate him. He's your prophet. Yeah? I see him as an immoral man. I see that he committed heinous acts. Yeah? All these different things I see that you know nothing about, Gavin. What do you know about him? And I said, so surely before you celebrate a man's day, you'd research him. I said, a lot of people admired Hitler, but you wouldn't celebrate a celebration of his life. But yeah, so Gavin Suker, when he says both groups gave Luton a bad name, anything I did, anything we did, was a reaction. We were a reaction to a problem. If that problem had been dealt with, either by Gavin Suker's government, by Gavin Suker's Labour Party, who in fact now he's actually coming out now admitting that there's huge problems in the Labour Party within Luton with postal irregularities, voting and etc. etc. I think he said democracy's finished within the local Labour Party because of the way they're just using the system. But yeah, if his group and his government would have dealt with these problems, no one would have heard of Tommy Robinson. There would have never been an English Defence League. But his government and his local council's tactic was to appease and appease some more. And that led to the English Defence League. So if any of them have a bad or negative word to say about me or any of the group I formed, well, they need to realise that they created it. That it's their fault it happened. They made it. Yeah. So Gavin Suker, if you're watching this.
Under the last Labour government, we banned the first emergence of the English Defence League coming and marching here in the town. Under this Conservative government, they've chosen not to. The
English Defence League sole purpose and the reason it formed the UPL was to tackle and combat Andam Chowdhury's group. Yeah? And our tactics, I remember seeing Eric Pickle saying what sort of people would want to do this or what tactics, and all we were doing in the early days was following Al-Muhajirun. That's all we were doing. They were holding an Islamic roadshow across the UK. So what it was, so we had the United People of Luton and it was a Luton issue. And then I remember sitting on the internet and watching as the same group who have 6 weeks prior just disrupted the whole nation and spat in their soldiers' faces. And now 6 weeks later they're standing in Birmingham City outside the Bullring in the shopping centre under a big massive banner that reads Jesus was a Muslim, and they're converting a 12-year-old kid called, or 11-year-old kid called Sean, who's just shopping with his mate. They've got him up on stage and they're saying repeat after me, and they've made him convert to Islam, and they're all screaming Allah Akbar, and this is 6 weeks after what they did in Luton. So I think no one's even trying to stop this group. And this Islamic Roadshow, when I looked online, I thought they've got all these other dates. They had dates in Wood Green, they had dates across the UK that they're going to be basically doing this. And so that was simply how we started. After the Soldiers' Homecoming, there was a lot of tension. There was some of the extremist houses were attacked. The Luton Islamic Centre was firebombed. There seemed to be tit for tat things were banging it across for different groups in the town. Yeah. Now, because of all of this, in response to this, a large group from Luton Islamic Centre come out and confronted Al-Muhajirun after Friday prayers in Bury Park. There's a video of it, you can watch it. They come out and move on, look what you're doing to our community, and I went home. This was when I was still under the name, I was using the name Wayne King. That was the name I was using at the time. But I went home and I emailed Luton Islamic Centre. This was before, if I'm honest, I wasn't opposed to Islam. Yeah? I wasn't at this point. At this point, I wasn't. I didn't know enough about it. Didn't know that much about it. At this point, I had a problem with these extremists that I've seen taking the piss. I had a problem with Luton Borough Council, which I felt was treating us as non-Muslims as second rate. I had a problem with lots of things that would have gone around social problems in the town. Yeah. So I went home and I emailed the imam at Luton Islamic Centre and just said like how encouraging it was what I saw today. Yeah. But I'm pissed off with your motives. But why I'm pissed off is because you've only come out and confronted them for the first time in 20 years because your mosque got blown up.
Yeah, you're responsible for the children being scared. There's a Pakistani brother who sees his face got beat up on Sunday. And don't deny it, because if you were there, you would have seen it yourself.
Mosque got £550,000 worth of damage.
Founded in the 80s, the band group Al Muhajirun used to hold demonstrations in this spot of Luton. And captured in this footage, the vast majority of Muslims living in the town don't seem to be that fond of the group's views. It shows an angry mob from the Islamic Centre confronting Al Muhajirun.
Why was the EDL shut?
It wasn't shut down, the EDL was still going. In fact, I made predictions that were incorrect. I thought the EDL would be taken over by far-right groups, more extreme, and it wasn't. They stayed true to the core belief that it was started on. Why did I leave? The truth? I left because I was forced to leave. That's the truth. I was in a situation where I was facing 3 to 5 years in prison for a crime I hadn't committed. The authorities had me in a position they wanted me in. I was offered a get out by TR.NEWS. I was offered financial support for the duration of my prison sentence for my family. And for the first time in 5 years, I put my wife and children's security and stability before my belief.
We drove to Ilford to meet one of the UK's most notorious radical clerics, a man who the media have long regarded as one of the most dangerous men in the UK, and the individual behind the emergence of Al Muhajirun.
If you look at the word Islam in the classical Arabic dictionaries like Imam Fairuz Abadi's Qamus al-Muhit, he said that Islam means istislam, means submission. The Muslim is the one who submits in every aspect of life. Therefore, in my relationship with my wife, with my mother, in the masjid, in society, and also in jihad. In jihad, we fight to defend ourselves. Sometimes we fight against the enemy. Sometimes people are killed.